Hello, this is Mrs. Huntley. You are in Module 6. This is Lesson 3. You're in the packet that has the front that says Scatter Plots and Data. So if you would, please open your packet to page 11 and prepare for a page of Cornell notes. Okay, so our essential question for this lesson is what are trend lines? And before we get into trend lines, let's just do a quick review of slope-intercept form. And you'll remember that slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And this is the equation of a line. Okay, it's an equation that represents the line. Your m is your slope. That's the pitch of the line. The ratio of rise over run. The b is the y-intercept. Where is it crossing that y-axis? Whoops, sorry about that. Where is it crossing that y-axis? The x is an x-coordinate that makes the equation true, and the y is the corresponding y-coordinate that makes the equation true. Remember, anytime we see those equal signs in there, that means the left side of the equation is going to be equal to the right side of the equation. So our x-coordinate and our y-coordinate are the things that are going to be changing that will make the equation true. The slope stays consistent and the y-intercept stays consistent. So let's just practice with a line real quick. Let's draw a line in here and see, I'm going to do a thinner line and we'll do it in a color. Let's do blue. So if I draw a line that starts here and goes like this, and this is my y and this is my x. Let's see, where is that slope crossing the y-intercept? This would be 0. Here's 1, 2, 3. So it's crossing the y-intercept at 3. So I'm going to say my b is 3. And I know that confuses some people because we call it a y-intercept and then it's the b in the equation. Y-intercept because this is your y-axis. That's where it's crossing it. Okay? Remember, our slope is where our line is crossing another set of integer coordinates. So that's where our line is going to be crossing another set of whole numbers. So in this instance, I'm going to say it's there, there. Well, let's fix this line a little bit. And I know you don't have this on your in your packet. That's okay. This is just a review. So if those are points where my line is crossing integer coordinates, I can count my rise over my run. So I'm going up 1 and then over 2. So my slope would be 1 over 2. So when I'm writing the line for this equation, I would say y equals 1/2 x plus b. Not plus b. I'm sorry. My bad. Let's fix this. Not plus b. Plus 3. Okay? Y plus 3 because that's where it's crossing my y-axis here. So now, what does this equation mean? It means any of the points on this line, I should be able to plug in the x and the y coordinate of those points, and it should be a true statement. So let's just test it with this one right here. Let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my x is 6, and my y is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, it's 6, 6. Okay? So does 6 equal half of 6 plus 3? Let's see, half of 6 is 3, plus 3 is 6, so 6 equals 6. So that works. Hopefully this is ringing some bells. We worked on this in Module 4 extensively, but I know some of you are still struggling with it. So before I got into today's lesson, I just wanted to make sure that we had a quick review here. So, next page. Scatter plots and trend lines. Trend lines. When a scatter plot demonstrates a linear relationship, a straight line can be used to show the general pattern of the data. Remember, linear means line. Okay, it's a straight line. A trend line or line of best fit is a straight line that should lie as close as possible to the points of the data in the scatter plot. So I'm not connecting all of the points. Remember when we were constructing lines back in Module 4, we were plotting the lines and then we were using a straight edge to connect all of the lines. That's not what we're doing here because sometimes our lines are going to be all over the place. What we're doing is constructing a line that best represents the data. So looking at the first example here, it says for 1 through 4, write yes or no to describe whether the line is a good trend line. Is it describing the data well? So looking at 1, we drew a line with a negative slope here, and it's going through 1 point of data. Does that represent our data well? I would say no. The scatter plot is showing a positive trend. It's going up and to the right, and this line, it has a negative slope, so that's not going to work. Looking at number 2, okay, we've got some data that's showing a negative trend. We drew our line so that it's going through the middle of the data. We've got some data points that are above, some data points that are below, and our line goes through a couple of data points, or it touches a couple of data points. So I would say yes, this is a pretty good trend line. Now, if I had given you this scatter plot and I told everyone in this class to draw a trend line, our trend lines might be slightly different depending on how we're interpreting the data and how we're looking at it. We might be maybe a little bit above this particular line. This is not an exact science. This is, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking that this line is best going to represent this data, and I'm going to be able to make some predictions about the data based on the line. Okay, looking at number 3, is this a good line of best fit? Let's see, it's above most of the data. So if I'm using this line to make predictions, my predictions are probably going to be on the high side. So I'm going to say, no, this trend line is a little bit too high, and I want to bring that down so that it's in the middle of the data somewhere. And looking at number 4, again, yeah, it's hitting 3 pieces of data, but look at all of the data that's above that trend line. So this is not a good one either, because any of my predictions are going to be super low with this one. And I want my predictions to kind of be in the middle if I'm going to be using the data to help me plan for something or help me do something. Writing equations of trend lines. Okay, this is again a little bit of our review. Choose any 2 points on the trend line. So we're not using the data points to set up the line, or to write the equation of our line. So any 2 points on the trend line, and set up a ratio of rise to run to find the slope of the line, or the M. So again, not picking data points, picking points on the trend line. Oh, that's kind of weird there. Here, I'll put this above. There we go. So look at the y-axis to find the y-intercept of the line, or the B. Use these two to write the equation in slope-intercept form, which again is y equals mx plus b. So we're going to practice this a little bit. Looking down below, we've got 3 scenarios. Looking at number 5, here's my y-intercept. It's crossing my y-intercept at 8. So my b is going to be 8. Now I need to look at my line and pick data points that are, or I'm sorry, not data points. I need to pick points that are integer coordinates on my line, not data points, okay? So this one I'm going to pick. Now it happens to be a data point also. Don't let that throw you, because I'm going to pick this one too. All right? So my rise over my run, I'm starting, well, I can start at 8. Let me go here. I'm going down 1. That's a negative 1. I'm going over 1, 2, 3. I'm going to check it, going down 1, and then over 1, 2, 3. Okay, so my slope is going to be negative 1/3. So when I'm writing the equation, y stays y, equals stays equal. M, instead of writing m, I'm going to write negative 1/3. X stays in x. And my b, instead of writing a b, I'm going to say plus 8. Oh my gosh. I said plus 8 and then I wrote a b. I need more coffee, I think. All right. So hopefully that reminds you how to write the equation of a line. Now what this means is I can pick any integer coordinates on this line, and I should be able to plug in my x and my y, and the left side of my equation would equal the right side of the equation. If you've got this, go ahead and pause the video and do the next one and then come back and check your work. If you're still a little fuzzy on this, keep watching. I'll explain it. Okay, where are we crossing the y-axis? Y-axis is 100. On my line, I need to pick some integer coordinates. Now, we need to be careful here. We're not going up by 1. We're going up by 25. 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, 150, etc. So I'm going up 25. My slope is going to be 25. Oops. 25 over, let's see, we're going by ones here. 1, 2. 25 over 2. That's going to be my slope. Check it. Going up 25 over 2, up 25 over 2. That works. Writing my equation, y equals 25 over 2 x plus 100. Now 25 and 2 are not divisible by the same number, so I'm just going to leave it as 25 twelfths, or I'm sorry, 25 seconds, 25 halves. I can't speak. Okay, hopefully you're feeling more comfortable. Pause the video, do the next one, and then check your work. Okay, so the equation for number 7 would be y equals negative 10x plus 45. And you're saying, why is it negative 10x? It's over 1. Anything over 1 is a whole number. If you want to put a negative 10x over 1, you can, but you don't have to. When it's a whole number, it's always over 1. Let's take a look at the next page. To find the slope of the trend line, Riley chose points 180 and 230. Let's take a look. 180 is above the line, and 230 is below the line. Those points are not going to give her the slope of the line. They're going to give her the slope between these 2 points. So that's not going to work. She needs to pick points that are on the trend line. Find the equation of the trend line. Again, pick your B. My slope going down 10, 20 over 1. Or just negative 20. Either way is correct. Number 9, which of the following scatter plots could have a trend line with an equation of y equals 2x plus 5? Okay, so my slope, what do I know about my slope? It's positive. And it's going up, it's going up and to the right. My trend, my B, also positive. And it's not going to be starting right in the corner. So A, this is a negative line. This is going to be off. B is going up and to the right, but it looks like it's starting either at 0 or negative. So that one's not going to work. C is going up and to the right, and it is starting at a positive point. Let me just check D to see if D might be better. Let's see, now D is negative. So I'm going to say scatter plot C is going to be the best because it has a positive slope and a y-intercept above 0. Now, without any numbers on here, I don't know if that is the line, but that's the only one out of these 4 that it could be. Number 10, Mrs. Hamilton surveyed some of her students by asking them how many minutes they spent studying for their map test and the score they made on their map test. The results are shown below. What is the slope of the trend line? So again, I'm picking points that are on the line, not necessarily data points. So I'm going up 10, and let's see, we're going over 5, 10, 15. So it goes up 10 over 15. Do you see that? 5, 10, 15. It's going up 10. So 10 over 15, I can reduce that fraction. Both are divisible by 5, so that's going to be 2 thirds. So what is the slope of the trend line? 2 thirds. What does the slope mean in the context of this situation? So for every 15 minutes that students studied, their test scores went up 10 points. Generally, what is the y-intercept of the line? Where does it cross the y-axis? At 60. What does the y-intercept mean in the context of the situation? $60 is the point. Okay, 60. I've got to erase something here because I'm not seeing it on mine. Okay. So 60 is the lowest score that anybody got. And one of the 60s was somebody who studied for 0 minutes. So 60 is the lowest score. SCORE. And a student oh my gosh, I can't type either. Could expect to score a 60. Okay, so 60 is the lowest score, and a student who studies 0 minutes could expect to score a 60. So writing the equation of this line, my m is 2 thirds, my b is 60, so y equals 2 thirds times x plus 60. Okay, I hope that helps. I hope the review of slope-intercept form helps. And remember, when you're drawing a trend line, you want to draw a line that best represents the data. Actually, when I was learning about this, we always called it a line of best fit, and that is kind of descriptive of the line that you're drawing. It best fits the data. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow.